Hello, everybody. We're halfway through February, so I thought now would be a great time to talk about the polls and how they're currently looking at midway point of February. None have really been put out yet for the 15th or whatever, but we're going to be looking at the ones from the last one in January to February 10th, starting with Nanos and Main Street Research. And also, I have last month's polls here for January and the last one in December. For the first section of this video, I'm going to be most just talking about this chart in a basic, bare way of what it means, what it's showing. For starters, though, I'm going to go party by party and talk about each party, what's happened compared to this month and last month. Starting with the Liberals, we're seeing them go up 8% from a 22 to a 30, which is crazy good for them considering they had lost a lot of their urban support, which they've gained back. Most notably due to Trudeau resigning, as well as the tariffs from Trump. People are really liking the Liberal response to that right now. So yeah, moving on to the Conservatives, they're down 2%, which isn't bad, but they're likely to keep going down. They're losing a lot of the urban sectors that they had just gained from the Liberals, but they are gaining the NDP's losses in the rural sections, which is helping them stay at that mark. But I suspect as the Liberals continue to eat away, they will continue to go down, and the NDP are no longer losing support in the rural areas. NDP are definitely, though, the real losers of February. I suspect that this number will go down towards more that 11 or 12 that Palliser or Main Street have it as they're losing a lot of their rural support in their areas. Like their support is starting to be like the Liberals and be really set in those urban sections. And I feel like you're going to see a lot of in future elections, urban areas come down to Liberal versus NDP, which is very strange because they used to have a lot of that urban rural support from union workers and stuff like that, or especially in the territories. They used to sweep the territories, but now they're losing a lot of that support, and I feel like that's because they're more drifting towards social issues nowadays. Greens, I suspect, are likely to decrease as people are just drifting towards the major parties. Nothing much to do with that. The Blocs, though, however, are very interesting, as they had recently gained a lot of urban section support, specifically in Montreal, that they were taking from the Liberals. But the Liberals are, like I said, gaining a lot of that urban support back. So that means naturally the Blocs are going down. I suspect the Blocs will go down and sit around that 5 percentile range. Um, Lower than what a lot of these sections have, but I suspect they will continue to decline as the time goes on. PPC will continue to sit around that 2 to 3 mark. They'll stay static. I'd like to briefly talk about this chart here that I got from Canada 338. And it just shows that when Trudeau resigned, the Conservatives saw a slight bump increase, mostly due to the NDP decline. But the Liberals have really just shot up, and that's mostly due to the shy Liberal effect, which is people who either lean Liberal but are extremely dissatisfied with the Liberal leadership, or are people who don't really want to voice their support for Liberals in the polls. And I feel like this is really starting to affect the pollings, as people are more likely to be openly Liberal now with Trudeau gone and Trudeau resigning, which is really, again, you're starting to see this effect come into full swing with the Liberal comeback. And I think that's very interesting. As you can see, like 2024 even, you see like the Liberals just remaining static, if not declining that little bit. But around this November, October range, they were really just going downhill and continue to go downhill. And Trudeau resigns, and boom, right back up. Way better than they were doing in even 2024. They're above their 2024 average consistently now in the span of a month because of Trudeau resigning, which I think is very interesting and something to keep your eye out on. Hello, I'd like to bring your attention to this map done by Canada 338. It's very interesting. It's a very good interactive map, and you can go over and see the stuff on the side. I really like that too. But like, take the GTA as an example, which has been notably a Liberal stronghold, and the Conservatives recently had broken through and taken a lot of the districts here. But as Trudeau resigned, and you see like a lot of people drifting back towards the Liberals, and a lot of people being more happy and more willing to be Liberal supporters openly in the polls, you're seeing the Liberals regain a lot of this ground that they previously lost, and it's cool to see as they've been caring a lot about liberal values and align a lot with liberal values like climate change, social justice, healthcare, etc. But they've been really unhappy with Trudeau's leadership for a long time. But now with the possibility of a new leader for the Liberals, these voters are coming back in droves. And it's especially important in close races where these hidden voters, or the people not really included in the polls, come into effect, which is why a lot of these places that are just barely conservative, I suspect will likely go towards the Liberals, boosting their seat count a lot and potentially, on a slim chance, leading towards a conservative minority government. Montreal is a little bit more unique in that sense, though, however, as it's instead of being liberal conservative, it's liberal bloc. The bloc had regained few of these districts here, which would have boosted their seat count and broken that liberal urban Montreal hold. However, with the Liberals again regaining a lot of that values with the possibility of a new leader, has brought in a few of these outskirt districts back into the Liberal fold and really overall helping them gain a lot of that support again, as well as a lot of people really being into the Liberal stance on the tariffs. Bring your attention back towards the spreadsheet, as I got this image here showing that we import a lot more than we export from the US, same with Mexico, but it also really shows that the party's responses to the tariffs are gonna impact this election a lot. Like, this is gonna be a key topic in the coming months, for the incoming last few months of this election. And it's gonna be really crucial on what parties say and what parties do. For example, the Liberals have claimed that they're going to do a $155 billion counter tariff and a dollar for dollar on US aluminum and steel. If it comes to that, they don't want it to come to that, and notably, then they're not willing to cut trade with the US and don't ever want it to come to that. The NDP have said not a whole lot. The NDP have committed to banning all imported US goods and want to recall Parliament, which every party has said, except for the Liberals. And I can see why. It's benefiting them right now not to recall Parliament. I can see why they are not willing to do that. The Conservatives want to reduce the provincial barriers, and Pierre Poilievre's notably been coming out and saying that this is proving the Conservatives right, trying to get that support from this as much as possible. And again, are going back to that Haxa tax and all that, as it's going to hurt the Canadian economy. But as for the actual tariffs themselves, they've been similar, dollar for dollar, while they've also stated that they want this to affect American companies while not affecting Canadian companies with that min to max section they can get, helping Canadian companies the best they can while hurting Americans the most they can. As well as they want to cut all U.S. products and ease into it. They want to slowly ease into cutting all U.S. products, which I think is mind-boggling as something that we might not be able to do, but that's my own personal opinion. And some things I think that we would be able to do that they want to do is like using our own steel, aluminum, stuff like that. Like, I think that's feasible. And as we do that, we slowly move towards using our own stuff and becoming more self-sufficient, which is overall not the worst. I'd like to head back to this Canada 338 map here, as I want to focus on the NDP decline for a little bit. The NDP decline is really noticeable here, as I'll put up a picture of the last year's standings, and where you can see the NDP had a lot of support up here. But as the NDP in the recent years have drifted really heavily on social issues and all that, it's caused them to lose a lot of that support up here in the north, as they don't talk about the union workers, the social credit, the stuff they used to stand for back in the day. It's really finally starting to impact their hold on these northern regions, as they are starting to see like a ghetto liberal party, as they are more left on some things, but mostly are pretty similar to the Liberals with a lot of other things. And as things like job security, cost of living, and the future of the industries that are really starting to pay for these areas, like mining, forestry, manufacturing, stuff the NDP is kind of against in their more recent years. And they're starting to switch towards the Conservatives, as that's where they're being more benefited, like Timmins, Muskwa, Churchill area, uh, Thunder Bay. Sudbury East is more liberal. Sudbury as a whole is more liberal, but they're starting to lose this part here, as they're kind of the same thing. But yeah, the NDP are really starting to decline in these areas, causing voters to look elsewhere, and that's been the Conservatives, as the NDP drift away from that union worker type stuff they used to stand for. In the BC coastal regions, you're seeing a lot of the same thing. I'll put up another picture of the chart here in the corner, showing what this area looks like now and what it's expected to look like in this election. The NDP are losing a lot of the same votes here for the same reasons. But what's unique to this is the housing affordability, public transportation, and all that, and nothing much being done about it by the NDP. Instead, they're doing things like decriminalization and stuff like that, which has not been working out well in the BC area. Despite the NDP's push for environmental policy, some voters feel that the party hasn't done enough to fix cost of living and are focusing on the wrong things. Meanwhile, Conservatives are expecting to focus more on ending decriminalization, fixing the drug abuse problems, fixing the housing prices, the stuff that are really key issues with the voters over here, which is causing them to turn towards the Conservatives, as the NDP's values are focusing every single year, like I said, on social, environmental, rather than the actual issues with the people that the people here are having. The last region I'm going to talk about in this section is the northern Manitoba area, and the NDP has lost ground in this area here too, largely due to concerns similarly to Northern Ontario about job creation and recovery. With Trump's tariffs, the mining industry and the oil industry are definitely being impacted, and they believe the Conservatives have better likelihood of holding and keeping and creating new jobs in that section than the NDP are. The NDP again have been primarily against a lot of these values that are key towards benefiting the northern Manitoba regions economically, and it's really again affecting their support here. And they're worried about their livelihoods. And as the NDP fails to connect with these key regions, we're seeing a huge conservative surge. Overall, this map can really show us about the NDP how out of touch they are with the modern voter. I know it sounds like I'm slandering the NDP a lot here, but it's true. The NDP are out of touch with a lot of the modern voter issues. And as the coming years go by, Jagmeet Singh just seems to be like a more liberal Trudeau, with his social issues, environmental issues being the top front for everything. Also, he's kind of moving towards the Greens. He's moving more left on some things and more right on other things. But they're starting to just, as the coming years go by, seem like a more ghetto liberal party. And it's really overall impacting their ability to hold and maintain these rural regions that they have. However, they are keeping their support in the urban areas, like I said, showing that they're just becoming more and more like similar to the Liberals Party as Hamilton and their section in London. They're just continuing to be able to hold. However, it just shows that they are becoming more and more like a liberal party with their ability to hold the rural areas. Even Vancouver Island, some place that they had a really good strong footing on last time around, I'll put up a picture again. They're losing all that support they once had, and by considerable margins. And it's really coming down to the NDP being out of touch with the modern voter and really affecting them in these rural areas that they once had a key strong hold on, which is benefiting the Conservatives. Which is why the Conservatives, like I said earlier, are maintaining that little bit of gain they have. But as this NDP decline dies down, I feel like the Liberals will regain a lot of their urban support areas, and it could lead to conservative minority government. Some chance, but it could happen. Basically, to serve as an overall conclusion for this video, I'd like to talk about overall summary of what this means. So basically, we're seeing a liberal comeback, which I think is responsible by liberal voters being more apt with a new leader and their response to the tariffs. NDP are facing a decline due to being out of touch with the modern voter and are losing a lot of that rural support they had as they move towards a social and environmental party similar to that of the Greens, minus the conspiracy theories. And the Conservatives are regaining that ground while losing the urban holds that they had just gained back to the Liberals. So that's going to be all for this video. I want to know what you guys think. Think about if I'm right, think if I'm wrong, whatever. Let me know below. Keep it civil though. No bullying others for their political beliefs. That's a rule I love to follow. But I'd like to know what you guys thought, what you guys think, what you guys want to see next overall. I'm thinking about doing the Ontario federal election next, talk about that as an Ontarian myself. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.